and to military vehicles. How did they proceed to search the NPP head office without producing a warrant? How did they proceed to conduct searches in the office without notice to any party official or even involving the party security who were on site? Why have the police also detained? Because the second security man who was left was also detained by the police, and we're wondering why he's also been detained. But more seriously, this can turn out to be a grievous attack on Ghana's democracy, where people in uniform with police vehicles and military vehicles can lay siege to the office of a major political party, proceed to conduct searches, proceed to vandalize the offices. These are matters that call for urgent answers.
The acting national chairman of the New Patriotic Party has condemned the raid on the party headquarters, Freddie Blaze, blaming the incident on persons he describes as powerful who want to create the impression that the party is in turmoil.
We had 4 people, 2 officers and 2 watchmen inside. They came out before they could say much. The military or the uniformed men who were armed forced their way into the offices. And they said they were searching, according to our men on the ground, they were searching for something that they did not inform them of. Later, there was a bus load of young men and 1 woman with shirts written on in the front with our logo, and at the back, unity and peace. These young men also entered the premises and were allowed upstairs by the uniformed men. They forced their way upstairs and broke all kinds of things in our offices. They damaged a lot of cupboards, TV, and so forth. But we have not had the opportunity to enter to find out exactly, because the police have cordoned up the place and are investigating. We are therefore telling you that this is what has happened. We want to keep quiet about it for now until we've been told exactly what has happened. We are convinced that they are a gang of ruffians, either sent by some individuals or by some powerful people who want to create an impression that we have problems in our party. But they came at dawn. That's true. We are keeping quiet. Yeah. We want the police to come out with the investigation. We've been made to believe that 11 of those who came have been arrested. Although those who were uniformed have not yet been identified. But we are doing our own investigation, because some of the watchmen identified 1 or 2 of those who were in the uniform. Yeah. And therefore we are also doing our investigation. Yeah. But
right, so you had acting national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, and he was speaking earlier on in the day. That was before the party got access to the headquarters and to see the broken doors and the vandalization that are taking place. And this was well before the communications director of the party held that news conference. You also heard him talk about some persons who were wearing T-shirts with the logo of the NPP on it. Now, the police have been questioning 12 suspects in connection with the raid on the offices of the MPP in Accra on Monday morning. Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, DCOP and Bening, says the police will do everything possible to get to the bottom of the matter.
Currently, the case is being handled at the CID headquarters. 12 persons have already been arrested, and investigations are being undertaken. So as soon as investigations are completed, the necessary steps will be taken to send them to court. Yeah, investigations are being conducted into their activities, and we follow down the process. Yeah.
And I take it that these 12 people have already put down their statements with the police.
They are on it. They are writing, giving their statement to the police. They are in the process.
And do we know who these 12 people are?
Oh, the identity will be made known as soon as investigations are completed.
And earlier, linked to this ransacking of offices at the MPP headquarters, we understand that even before these men came there, some persons in military uniform were the party's officers as well.
No, that may not be correct. Investigations are being conducted. If you get anything of that sort, we will let you know. But currently, as I speak to you now, we don't have any information regarding the presence of some military officers there. We don't have it.
Have they been charged yet? Have they been charged with any offense?
No, yeah, when we take the investigation, when we take their statement, then we know the appropriate charge to be preferred against them. But currently, what we are doing is that what happened, that is what we are holding the inquiry into.
And I was asking you earlier, we understand, and that's what the director, one of the officials at the CID told us, that these persons, one of them at least, their leader, says that he is linked to the suspended chairman of the party, Paul Afoko, and happy about his suspension, and therefore they moved on into this. Has that?
No, I'm not privy to that information. I don't have that information.
And tell me, DCOP and Pabeni, this is not the first time we've had, chaotic incidents at the MPP's own headquarters. Over the past 3 months alone, there have been a number of incidents and so on and so forth. Does this worry the police? This is the police concern about this. That center, the Asalan Down, the party's headquarters, has gained a lot of attraction in terms of, volatile security situation there.
Police are here to maintain peace. So we are to ensure that wherever, whether it's MPP headquarters, NDC headquarters, or the party headquarters, we are Ghanaians. We are here to ensure that they work in peace and tranquility.
All right, so you heard the police director of public affairs, DCOP and Pabening, speaking there to Kwachi Afreniama. Now, Kwachi Afreniama is in the studio now to give us some insight as to what has been happening. Good evening to you, Kwachi. A lot has been going on, and the whole thing appears quite murky. We're told that there's some military people who went to the party headquarters. Then we also took in a dawn raid, and then we also hear that they went there or they were met there by some party sympathizers. How does this all play out to you?
Okay, I'm sure you heard the parties, what the party says is their own investigations into this very matter. We heard Nana Komia speaking to the press a while ago, and their version is that per their investigation, these armed military persons, about 15 of them, came to the party office around 1 a.m. Now, when they came there, they conducted this raid. Then later on, you had these party supporters, the men in red, joining them. So these 12 people who have been arrested by the police CID are the party supporters. And from my own checks with sources within the police service, they are supporters. They've told, their leader has in fact told the police service that they are supporters of Paul Afoko, who are unhappy with how events have unfolded, the suspension of Paul Afoko and all that. And so they were there to, make their position known. And when they arrived there, they joined in the ransacking, the raiding of the party's offices. That's eventually led to, some vital documents now missing and all that. But additional information we have gathered is that about four of these guys who...
So, excuse me, we have some people on showing on the screen now. We're told that these are the suspects who were arrested.
The 12
were arrested.
Were arrested and are now with the police. Now, we've also additionally intercepted a document that is actually an extract of a statement that about four of them, not part of those arrested anyway, four of these supporters who left the party premises, wrote with the Odoko police saying that around 11 p.m. yesterday, they received a call from a gentleman. That's what's written in that statement. They received a call from a gentleman that there is a party at the MPP headquarters. So about 400 of them were bussed in two vehicles. When they arrived there, they realized that, I'm talking about those who left, they arrived there and saw that, well, there's nothing to do with the said party. They rather saw military men, ransacking the office, and they said that we will not be part of this, whatever is going on. They were giving some red t-shirts. You saw those gentlemen there at the back of the pickup with the red t-shirts. They were giving a red t-shirt. Then they left. When they left, 12 of them, these men who have now been arrested, said that, well, we will remain here. And they, according to the party's communication director, they said that they are taking over the headquarters because they were unhappy with what was happening. One of the Invisible Forces members, the private security of the MPP, was subsequently arrested by the police, and then the other managed to escape. He blew this alarm, and the police came in.
Right. I'm still trying to understand, why would the military people go there? Supposedly, if they are military people, why would they go there and have these other men in red join them and work with them or operate with them? And where does the link with the Paul Afoko come in?
Well, first of all, why the military men when they would go there remains a key puzzle here, and that's one of the questions that the New Patriotic Party is asking, why they went there in the first place without an arrest warrant. But it is also surprising, and that's completely puzzling as well, why these men, these perceived supporters of Paul Afoko, were able to find that cooperation with these military men who, well, perhaps they knew from nowhere, and then jointly ransacked the party's offices. We understand the National Organizers Office and the Director of Elections offices. These are all issues that the party will be looking into. But the link with Paul Afoko, as I mentioned earlier, from sources within the police hierarchy, is that the leader of the group has actually said that, well, they are responsible for what happened. They've taken responsibility for that. They've put down their statements, and it was at this point that they mentioned, their affiliation to Paul Afoko. They say they are his supporters. We don't know whether he has their full backing or not. Is
there anything else you've been able to pick up?
Well, it's interesting that all this happened at a time when three separate incidents. You had not just the MPP's headquarters being ransacked, you had the regional headquarters of the MPP, regional office of the MPP near the Newtown area, also ransacked. And at the same time also, we know that a party's parliamentary candidate in Clotte Colley says that his residence, his sitting room, was ransacked as well. It's pretty puzzling, again, really puzzling how all these events happen at the same time. But the police have promised to get to the bottom of this issue. Let's see how it pans out.
Right, thank you very much, Kwacha Afreniam. And Kwacha Afreniam talked about the fact that the MPP's parliamentary candidate for the Clotte Colley constituency, Ni Norte, is alleging threats on his life by unknown persons who attacked him at his residence on Monday morning. He believes the attack was politically motivated because of his support for the suspended MPP chairman, Paul Afoko.
It happened around 1:40 a.m. today at dawn. I had lights out in my area, so I was inside my room. I was asleep anyway, and I heard a big bang coming. The noise was very loud coming from my living room. So right after I heard the noise, I heard my mom also scream in Ghana, Namoni, meaning who is it? Who is it? So I opened my door a bit. My mom's door is opposite my door. I opened my door, and then I asked her to go inside her, because she was trying to come out to go check who it was. So I asked her to go back inside her room and then lock the door, which she did. I also entered my room and locked my door. But as she still entered the room and locked the door, she was still screaming and yelling. At the same time, I picked my phone and I started calling the police officers I have on my phone. But we heard the noise in the living area, and then people had entered, intruders had come into my house. So I got in touch with Inspector Poku of Usu Division, Usu Police Station, and then he was at night patrol with his team. So before I got in touch with him, my mom was still shouting, "Namoni, Namoni." And then the noise was getting louder and louder. But all of a sudden we heard the door bang again, and then we heard motorbike sped off. So right after the motorbike sped off, a few minutes, I heard the police sirens coming the police sirens coming. So then the police came in. Even when the police came, we're still indoors. They surveyed the whole area, and then they came up to tell me we can come out. The area is safe. So we came out. It was when we came out that we opened. I opened my living area, and then I found out that the whole place had been ransacked.
Well, staying with the issues having to do with the New Patriotic Party, the funeral of the NPP activist who was stabbed to death earlier this month at Asare has come off in the Ashanti region capital, Kumasi. In attendance were leading members of the party, including presidential running mate Dr. Mamadou Bawumia.
At the funeral, the NPP announced a scholarship package for the late Abubakar Sadiq's daughter. The party will take care of the 8-year-old Abigail Modi's education to the tertiary level. Dr. Bawumia, who announced a scholarship deal on behalf of the party, also donated 8,000 Ghana cedis cash to the family for the child's upkeep. Abigail also told Love News reporter Prince Apia that she wants to become a medical doctor. Sadiq's death has attracted wide condemnation from various quarters, including the presidency and the council of Zongo chiefs and imams. Meanwhile, the police have declared wanted a prime suspect nicknamed Dunia and some others in connection with the murder of Abubakar Sadiq. 3 other suspects are also on remand and will be arraigned on Tuesday.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we have more stories coming up. Don't go away. 2 people have now been confirmed dead after violent clashes between police and some residents in Cape Coast. An emergency meeting was held between the Metropolitan and Regional Security Council on Monday to fashion ways of resolving the impasse between the residents and police.
The confusion followed a police swoop on the communities that led to a reprisal attack on the police station, during which residents destroying almost everything in sight. Over a dozen police vehicles were vandalized by angry residents. Police tear gassed some residents who were at the scene. About 37 people were arrested in a police swoop. The police say the exercise was to rid the community of criminals. An emergency meeting was organized to help resolve the differences between the police and the residents. Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Ransford Manson says the police will continue to engage the people to resolve their differences. Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Kweku Rickett Hagan, believes a lasting solution has been found to the dispute.
The signal is also to make sure that the community can actually see that something is being done by the leaders of the community and the police. So we weren't going to come here to achieve peace. We came here to establish the mechanism to achieve peace here eventually.
Let's get on the lines now and speak with correspondent Richard Kojo Nyako for the very latest on it. Good evening to you, Richard. What's the mood in Cape Coast tonight?
Well, Israel, I can tell you that there is an easy calm following the meeting between the head of the Regional Security Council, the head of the Metropolitan Security Council, and the police service, as well as the youth groups that this case surrounds. And so that is what is happening right now.
And what was the outcome of this meeting?
Well, the outcome of this meeting led to the release of almost all of the people that the police arrested, with the exception of 5 that the police arraigned before court today, and the 5 persons, the police found some substances that were with them, and they suspect that some substances were cocaine, and so they arraigned before the Cape Coast Circuit Court, and they were remanded into prison custody to reappear in 2 weeks' time. Speaking at the meeting, the regional minister, Akwanasiri Akwansa, who is the head of security, appealed to both factions, the police and the residents there, to coexist peacefully. According to them, Cape Coast is not noted for some of these confusion and disturbances. And so the member of parliament for Cape Coast South, who initiated all of these moves to ensure that the police and the residents broke the peace pipe, also said that he was going to take the cost of all the vandalized vehicles, the vehicles whose windscreens were smashed. He was going to take the cost and then repair all of those vehicles. And so he says that he was doing that one to ensure that sanity and peace prevails in that particular community.
But how are residents reacting to the fact that they released these people?
Well, the residents were concerned following the death of another person yesterday, and the death occurred during a shootout with the police when they besieged the premises of the police, and then the residents, according to the police, also used some locally manufactured pistols. They came with stones, the cutlasses, and the others, and so the police had no option than to also return. But according to the Central Regional Police Commander, they deny that the bullet that hit that young man who died yesterday, they denied that it was as a result of the police exchanging fire with the resident. And so that is what, and so this has sparked some concerns among residents, because according to them, the earlier death led to a 50-year-old man who was manning his shop, and he was not even involved in that drug-related offenses. And so they are surprised why the police will return some what they describe as a measured force, a force that were way beyond the force that the police should apply in certain situations like this.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Kojo-Nyako. Richard Kojo-Nyako was joining us from the Central Regional Capital, Cape Coast. A committee has been set up to investigate the collapse of a multi-story structure under construction in Accra. The 17-member committee members include engineers and security officials. One person was killed in the incident on Sunday. Here's a report by Kofi Mensah. We do apologize for the loss in audio on that report. We'll bring you that report later. Right now, we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. Please stay tuned. Time for business, and Abigail Adumaku here. Good evening to you, Abigail.
Good evening, Israel.
Right, I'm sure you had a wonderful weekend.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so back to business. There was an oil and gas summit held today. What are some of the outcomes?
Well, a lot of issues came up, but in business today we are looking at the Exploration and Production Bill. It's been in Parliament for a while, and now the Parliamentary Select Committee is, giving us some assurances, quite good there. Well, they are saying that that bill is going to be passed into law, and they've put a hold on all agreements on petroleum.
All new agreements.
Yes, that should be good for us.
Right, take it away.
Right. Okay, so a member of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy, Adam Mutawakilu, says Ghana would not sign any petroleum agreement until the Exploration and Production Bill is passed. His assurance follows concerns raised by civil society organizations and other stakeholders pushing for the immediate passage of the bill.
The campaign coordinator of the Integrated Social Development Center, ISODEC, Steve Mantiu, spoke at the two-day Africa Oil and Gas Governance Summit, which opened in Accra today. According to him, the country risks not getting value for money from the resource if the law is not passed. But also speaking at the summit, member of the Parliament Select Committee on Mines and Energy, Adam Mutawakilu, said no agreement would be signed until the law is passed.
I must distinguish between granting of permit for blocks and petroleum agreement. The minister has the right to give out blocks, but petroleum agreement is totally different from that. Parliament approves petroleum agreement before exploration will take place. That is what I want to be very clear. And that one, Parliament must approve it. In no way is different. In no way Parliament approves blocks. Without approval, you cannot allocate any block to a company. In Ghana, it's the other way. The minister will allocate the block, but when they negotiate the petroleum agreement, it cannot be taking effect without approval from Parliament. And as I said, since the EMP bill had been laid before us, no PA has come to us. And we also made it that until the PA comes to effect, we will not be approving any petroleum agreement.
Stakeholders also emphasized the need for government to fully implement policies expected to guide the management of revenue from the resources. The Africa Oil and Gas Governance Summit forms part of activities to mark 5 years of oil production in Ghana. The event, organized by the Ghana Oil and Gas for Inclusive Growth GOGIC in partnership with Joy Business, was preceded with a maiden citizen dialogue on oil and gas last week. Inputs from the two events are to be pushed to government for onward implementation.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama is urging businessmen and various artisans in the country to develop their skills to ensure they come out with quality products. Many Ghanaians have indicated they prefer foreign products, as many locally produced ones are of very low quality. But speaking at the launch of the Made in Ghana campaign earlier today, President Mahama emphasized the skilled labor front would ensure higher quality of goods and services.
There's a lot of work we should do in terms of reaching where we want to reach, in keeping jobs at home and making sure that we promote the consumption of our own goods. One of the reasons why our competitors have an advantage over us is scale. They have the advantage of scale. And if we don't consume our own goods, then we don't give our industries the advantage of scale. Because the more you produce of a product, the cheaper it is. Because once you prepare the mold, if you prepare the mold and you produce 1,000, the unit cost is more expensive than if you produce 1 million. There was a contract for which they needed 60 welders. And so a company was commissioned to employ the welders. And so they applied, advertised and asked welders to apply. And out of 300 that applied, only 30 reached the skill level that was needed.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, says the 2016 budget simply failed to meet the critical needs of local industries. President of the AGI, James Asare, tells Joy Business the budget had no initiatives for tackling the long-standing challenges in the business environment.
Economists and other stakeholders have already expressed disappointment at the 2016 budget, but admit an austere budget is to be expected, especially in an election year. The AGI is unhappy the budget did not address major issues hampering the growth of local industries.
We've not really seen something really new which would go or is going to support industry in going forward, in 2016. Let us understand that there are some key issues, that we need to address, as an economy, to be able to boost local production, to be able to expand our local industry base. And these things, there were nothing really significant, that went to address specifically some of these things we've been calling for. For example, we have called for the need to actually set up stimulus fund, for industry. We have been very specific that we need to look at about 1 billion Ghana cedis stimulus fund that would really be able to help industry, to retool. This will be as a strategic intervention for some key companies, that are export-oriented, where they did not see.
Gasam Industries has emerged as the best industrial company of the year 2015 at AGI's 40 Industry Awards. Gasam Industries picked the enviable award after competing with 21 other industrial companies.
Group Indum emerged fastest growing company of the year as well as best company employer. Insurance company of the year went to Vanguard Assurance. Best hospitality and tourism sector was picked by Alisa Hotel. IPMC picked the ICT company of the year, while the pharmaceutical company of the year went to Danex Limited. Guinness Ghana Limited picked the best beverages company of the year among other 21 awards presented to different companies. The enviable prize industrial company of the year 2015 was picked by Gasem Industries, producers of cement. According to AGI, the initiative 4-year running is aimed at rewarding companies that have achieved outstanding success in various areas of industry and innovation in the year under review.
Now, government today began raising medium to long-term bonds on the Ghana Stock Exchange. It issued a 5-year bond to raise about 500 million Ghana cedis from the domestic market to refinance some maturing debts. Now, this represents a shift from the sale by the Bank of Ghana over the years, as indicated by the Finance Minister in the 2016 budget presentation. Now, my colleague John Amako has been following up on this and joins me in the studio with details. And how is this different from what the Bank of Ghana has been issuing?
Well, Abigail, always it's the central bank that actually leads the issuance of some of these sovereign bonds or domestic sovereign bonds, actually. But this time, the minister is doing something different, not just because the minister wants to do it, but I think it is an IMF requirement to the effect that, you know, from next year, the Bank of Ghana is not going to finance any budget deficit of the government anymore. So this is a test case for the ability of the domestic market to finance budget deficit. That is how it is. So this time around, instead of the central bank leading, now you have what we call transaction advisors actually going to lead. And this time around, it is Stanbic Bank, Barclays Bank, and SAS who is leading. Okay. Today they actually had a crunch meeting with the Ministry of Finance to actually deliberate on this. It started today to raise about 500 million. So going forward next year, we'll be seeing a lot more activity on the Ghana Stock Exchange, especially at the secondary market where some of these things are traded. So it's good news for the market, it's good news for everybody. That's exactly how it is.
Right. Let's stay on the stock market, and I know you have all the details. What's happening on the market?
Exactly. The market today has been a bit dull. I don't know whether it's the Monday or probably it's because they are seeing some new kids coming to the block. We only saw GCB actually trading, closing, gaining almost about 1 peswa to close at 3.75 Ghana cedis. But this also compelled the composite index to actually average around 12.73%. And then the financial index, which is very significant. It used to be the carrier of the market, but now it's actually reducing significantly. So those who are actually investing on the Ghana Stock Exchange and by concentrating their portfolios on the financial equities have lost year to date about 15% of their money, which is not good news for investors. So I think that is basically how it is. And then moving on, I think with the commodities as well, crude oil gained about $45 to close around 44.89% today. That is good news, but the point is, how long are we going to see this? Because the Bloombergs and other economists and other mercantile exchanges are predicting crude to go down as low as $25 per barrel. This is something that we should actually keep our eyes on.
It's surprising to see gold going down.
Gold has been going down over 3 years now. For about 3 years now, gold has been going down. It actually started, I understand where you're coming from. It gained a bit last week, but this week it's not really been doing that well. Okay. It started on a very wrong footing by actually losing almost about 9.80 dollars to close somewhere around 1,067. This is the thing. Actually, it's not going to do any better because by the end of this year, the American dollar would actually be strengthened by all these things. So I think that's how it is. And the gold and American dollar, they have what we call opposite relationship. Anytime the dollar increases, the gold goes down. Gold actually goes up, and that's how it is.
Let's see how the CD is faring.
The CD is really not doing that well now. But I think for the past 3 weeks, it's been gaining some momentum across the spectrum. Okay, this particular week, today, starting the week, it just gained some bit of stability against the US dollar, the British pound, and the euro. But the Chinese yuan is actually gaining momentum as we get closer to the end of the year. You know why? It's just because a lot of Ghanaians are actually preparing to go import from China to actually celebrate the Christmas festivities. So Abigail, I think that's how it is for our market. Let's see how what tomorrow brings and the week. The outlook is bright. And we think it's going to be
let's
good.
see what tomorrow brings. Thank you very much, John, with those updates. And that will be all for business. My name is Abigail Adumakwenchi.
Watching Joy News Prime. Now, a committee has been set up to investigate the collapse of a multi-story structure and the construction in Accra. The 17-member committee includes engineers and security officials. One person was killed in the incident on Sunday. Here's a report by Kofi Mensah.
A building under construction opposite the City House in Accra collapsed on Sunday afternoon, killing one person and injuring 10 others. The disaster was said to have happened around 1 p.m. after the first floor caved in. 9 of those injured have since been treated and discharged. The building, which was being constructed by the Israeli company Amandi, is said to belong to the Export Trade, Agricultural and Industrial Development Fund. The committee investigating the collapse of the building is expected to present its report within 7 days.
We are yet to find out what actually happened because it caved in, the floor caved in, showing there is architectural deficiency. Yes.
So may I know the specific relief NADMO will offer to the victims?
As at now, I cannot tell because it is a contractor, private contractor who is taking up the contract, and we are yet to find out actually his contractor's certificates, how he happened to get the contract, and what is their roles or regulations when the worker, when something of that nature happens, because they are a contractor, it's not government, they are private contractors. What they do if such a thing happens to their staff?
From now on, what is the NADMO going to do to ensure that such buildings meet the specified requirements?
Yes, we have an act in Parliament. We are praying, and if that act has been passed, we will be given the power of attorney to go around and inspect those buildings that are not that did not meet the required architectural work, so that we will know what to do with them.
So until that law is passed, what is NADMO going to do?
Yes, as at now, we don't have the power to go and dismantle such buildings or to go and do any inspection. They will ask you, what power do you have? So at the moment, what we normally do is we go, when we see such buildings like that, we inform AMA, the municipal assembly, or the district assemblies to take over and work on them.
On Monday morning, workers of the project demanded answers as to when they would return to work. This is the second major building collapse in Accra in 4 months. In July, another story building under construction in Cantonments caved in, killing 2 lives.
The National Democratic Congress executives in the Lower Manya Krobo constituency in the Eastern region are accusing an aspirant of being behind the number of people who voted against President John Mahama in last Saturday's NDC primaries. According to them, former Municipal Chief Executive Isaac Agbo-Tete is in his attempt to win the primaries infiltrated the party's biometric register with known MPP members who subsequently voted against the president. Kofi Siam has more.
More than 60,000 members of the NDC voted against the president's endorsement nationwide. Out of this, about 600 are from the Lower Manya Krobo constituency, a situation which has left constituency executives worried. They say their suspicion stems from the fact that in most of the polling stations, the number of votes Isaac Tete Agbo secured was similar to the number of votes against President Mahama. Constituency Chairman David Walter Homenu is asking the party's national hierarchy to urgently constitute a team to investigate the matter.
There is one of the aspirants who did the registrations himself, using people who are not NDC branch executives to register the people. So you could see that there's possibility that they will register people who are not NDC members. And if you follow the result, areas that the kind of vote Honorable Isaac Agbo-Tete had at some polling stations are the very number of no's the president recorded. And when we try to delete the names from the register. He told us at one instant that there's no way we should delete the people because he knows the people. Those places that the incumbent MP was beaten at the polls, those are the places that we recorded more no. The highest no for the president came from those places that other aspirants, apart from the incumbent MP.
They blame the regional executives of the party for failing to act on the many petitions on alleged infiltration of known MPP members supervised by some of the aspirants. Kofi Sian's report for Joy News.
Now, dozens of agitated supporters of the defeated NDC parliamentary aspirant for Upper Manya Krobo constituency have been protesting the results of the weekend's poll. They want Bismarck Tete Nyako to declare the winner of fresh elections.
Some of the agitated demonstrators told Joy News that the incumbent MP for Upper Manya Krobo constituency has rigged the Saturday NDC primaries. They want President Mahama, the national and regional executives to step in for fresh elections.
Candidate has won in the first place, and afterwards we heard that the other party or the other candidate has been declared behind our candidate as a winner, and we don't understand that. So we are behind our candidate to call for re-election because we are 100% sure that he won. Bismarck Tete, he won the election with not even a low margin but a bigger margin. We are behind him to call for re-election, but not the other party or the other candidate to be declared as a winner.
Briefing the media at his residence to respond to the allegations against him, the incumbent MP for Upper Manya Krobo constituency, Jeff Tete Kavianu, described the just ended NDC primaries held in the constituency as peaceful. According to him, if Bismarck Tete Nyako is not satisfied with the results, he can go to court to challenge the results.
Centers. We declared elections at the police centers, and in these the elections and the police centers, all elections were declared and their agents signed, and there was no challenge. I believe that if maybe his novice in politics, is now learning, he should start. And even in Koforibia is still waiting. Our regional chairman organized a meeting at which all candidates signed undertaking that we're going to accept results, whether you lose or not, that you're going to accept the results. And
If Wakwa Singh is here to tell us what's coming up on Journeys Interactive.
Good evening, Israel. Good evening. And I have comments on the MPP headquarters attack, comments from the video we posted of Black Stars captain at Samoa Gyan's birthday bash. And who's the ugliest one of all? I will take you to Zimbabwe, where the runner-up of Zimbabwe's Mr. Ugly is challenging the winner, saying he's too handsome. It's going to be an interesting interactive segment with me. I'll be back in about 30 minutes, Israel.
All right, so if Wakwa Singh, the beautiful, we'll be talking about the ugliest in Zimbabwe. We have that, we have entertainment, of course, and that exclusive interview, Reggie Mboli from the UK. All coming up in the second half of the bulletin. Please don't go away. We'll be back in a bit. You're watching Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. 12 suspects in custody in connection with dawn raid at the MPP at the headquarters of the New Patriotic Party, an attack the party is describing as a major threat to Ghana's democracy. In business, Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy assured Ghana would not sign any petroleum agreement until the exploration and production bill is passed into law. 2 people have been confirmed dead in violent clashes in Cape Coast between residents and the police. Now, President John Mahama says the NDC is providing the necessary leadership for Ghana's transformation. He says such transformation doesn't take place overnight with a stroke of a pen, but persuasion, attitudinal change, reorientation, the right policies and leadership. He was speaking at the NDC's national headquarters in Accra during a ceremony to announce his endorsement as the governing party's presidential candidate for the elections next year.
I want to salute our great chairman, our indefatigable general secretary, our functional executive, and our national executive committee members who stood firm and resolved that universal suffrage must be the basis for the selection of our presidential and parliamentary candidates. Even when the register was being finalized, and even when it had started to be exhibited, many were those who claimed strongly that the register had been infiltrated by non-NDC members whose sole aim was to vote against our viable parliamentary candidates or vote no in the presidential ballot. I said during the Changing Lives and Transforming Ghana tour that this new system might not be perfect, but it is certainly better than the system we used previously. Most political parties use a smaller representative electoral college system. As far as I know, this is the first time in Africa or any part of the world any political party has opened up participation in such a critical process to all its members. NDC has set a standard which I'm sure will be emulated in the future by other political parties, not only in Ghana, but in Africa and the rest of the world.
And the do of the doings.
Former Attorney General Martin Amidu has criticized government's response to the report of the Commission of Inquiry, which investigated the dubious payment of judgment debts to certain businesses and individuals. Ms. Amidu says government is using the Commission's report for propaganda purposes ahead of the general elections next year. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has been reading the statement and joins me now in the studio with more. Good evening to you, Joseph.
Israel, good evening to you.
Now, what is Martin Amidu saying about this white paper government issued recently on the judgment debt?
He thinks it's purely a propaganda material, and he makes the point that he thinks it's actually a #2 manifesto for the NDC going into the 2016 election. So let me quote what he says in the article that he's written. He makes the point that a perusal of the white paper leaves no one in doubt that it is in fact another election 2016 NDC manifesto #2 to suppress political corruption against government and its supporters arising from the very clear report of the sole commissioner. He goes on to make the point that government is playing politics and propaganda with such excellent work by arrogating itself the power to modify, vary, rewrite, and even introduce extraneous materials into the report. And one of that damning comments he makes under the report is that he hopes that Ghanaians will wake up to the fact that this is not a white paper under Article 280 of the Constitution, but a bogus and fraudulent NDC manifesto white paper masquerading as one pursuant to Article 280 of the Constitution. Very harsh words there for government.
Very harsh words. But Martin then mentioned specific names of NDC members. He says government is shielding. Which NDC person is that?
Ebo Batinodro is one of them, Betty Mode is one of them, and in the Ebo Batinodro case, these are the specifics he gives. He makes the point that, you recall the African Automobile Judgment Debts case? Yes. They got millions from judgment debt, and at a point in time they were concerned that Ebo Batinodro, who was then Martin Amidu's deputy, approved the payment of more than 4.1 million Ghana cedis in interest on judgment debt for African Automobile when Martin Amidu himself was unaware of this, and the judgment debt commissioner raised this issue. He felt it was illegal. Martin makes the point that the manifesto white paper avoids mentioning Deputy Attorney General Ebo Batinodro's name and does not make any recommendations or comments on this, although the report acknowledges that. And he asks a question that, what can this political manifesto white paper be if not designed to suppress gargantuan political corruption and damnify perceived opponents of government? I wish to ask one more question about the methodology that they used, and he's also asking that he's asking questions that the likes of Betty Mudidrisu, the likes of Benjamin Kumbo, and also Ebobatino Drew, he makes the point that they've been indicted in the commissioner's report, and he's questioning why the white paper is covering up for them.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Opoku Gakpo. Now, in other news, Petroleum Minister Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa says government has laid a strong foundation to ensure that every Ghanaian benefits from the revenue accruing from the oil sector. He says policies enshrined in the Petroleum Exploration and Production Bill currently before Parliament and efforts to enforce the Local Content Bill are a few of the measures adopted so far. He was speaking at the Africa Oil and Gas Governance Summit in Accra.
5 years ago, when we celebrated First Oil, many were skeptical about Ghana's ability to build the necessary policy, legal and institutional mechanisms for the transparent and efficient management of our oil and gas resources. This was not unexpected because many countries, including ours, those of the African continent, face serious challenges in the efficient transformation of the oil and gas world into lasting benefit for their citizens.
Meanwhile, the Executive Director of the African Center for Energy Policy, Mohamed Amin Adam, is warning the government to guard against corruption in the oil sector. He says a lot has happened in the 5 years since Ghana started oil production and gives cause for concern about rampant corruption.
I mean, of course, as you listen to the various speakers, without governance, oil will become a curse. And we're not just talking out of a vacuum. Experiences from other countries, where in spite of the fact that they got so much oil boom, they did not put in place the governance structures. They did not have institutions, they did not have accountability mechanisms, they did not have mechanisms for disclosing how much oil they are producing, how much revenues they are generating, and how they are even distributing the wealth. The result has been that oil became a curse in those countries. And this is why the frontier countries, the countries that are emerging today, that are making discoveries of oil, want to take a different path, a departure from the past, by putting in place the necessary governance frameworks. They want to now award oil contracts through an open and competitive process. They now have a law which requires the government to publish how much oil is being produced, how much revenues they are generating, and also to publish where the money is going. And so if we have these structures now coming up as a result of the lessons we have learned from the past, then it is emphatic that governance is the missing link. Right. And so where you do not have good governance, the resources will be dissipated, the resources will be wasted, there will be so much corruption, rent-seeking behavior. And so it is important for African citizens to continue to put pressure on our governments.
Staying with energy, the car power batch from Turkey to augment Ghana's electricity supply situation has arrived in neighboring Ivory Coast. Joy News has learned that 225 megawatts power plant will be taking off the vessel on which it has been traveling and towed into Ghana by tugboats in the course of the week. Here's a news desk report.
The arrival in Ivory Coast marks the first leg of the barge's journey to Ghana, where it is expected to add 225 megawatts of electricity to the current stock. Officials explain the barge will have to be taken off the marine vessel, the Black Marlin, before it can be towed to Ghana. The operation, however, has to be conducted in special deep water port facilities available in Ivory Coast. The barge is expected to finally dock in Ghana on the 27th of November, after which it will take about a week for its power to be fed into the national grid. It will source its own fuel for power generation, even though government is expected to provide assurances that it will be paid for the electricity car power ship supplies. The fuel guarantee, Joy News sources say, is still in the works and should be concluded sometime this week. The barge was originally thought of as an emergency solution to the energy crisis, but coming nearly 4 years into the energy drought. Many have suggested that the relatively high cost of the electricity it will supply is a needless burden on the consumer, who will be made to pay. The Power Minister and the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission have already impressed on consumers the need for them to prepare to pay higher tariffs if the energy crisis is to be resolved.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you entertainment.
Entertainment news is brought to you.
All right, so we've been waiting for this for a while now. That's exclusive interview with Reggie and Boli. It's here on on entertainment, and Miss G here to tell us all about that. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Israel.
Right. So I'm excited about it. It's fine. I'm sure you can understand why I'm excited about Reggie and Boli.
Of course. We definitely have to be excited about it. Now, we've been hoping to hear from these guys. We always see them on stage. And finally, our partners, ABN, got the interview put together for us, and so we definitely can hear from them.
All right, so that's it. They're telling us how they got to meet, and as we say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
The rest is that they are now famous. They're extremely famous in the UK, and everybody in the UK is excited about them.
True.
Especially the Ghanaian community, who, because they feel this
they
is
can
our
connect,
own.
you know, yes, we can relate
This is
to
our
these
own.
people.
And by the way, what you also saw, whilst they were, during the interview, the visuals you saw across was the performances
over the weekend. Yes, they did Fuse ODG's Dangerous Love, and they got Fuse tweeting to appreciate them. And you saw the judges; they all stood to applaud them at the end of their performance. So it's great for them.
Okay, so maybe let's just go back a bit and remind people how or why these people, Reggie and Boli, are so significant for us. Reggie and Boli, I mean the other guy, he's the guy who came out with this track.
You Make His the Bride is for Boli. You know, Boli hammers beats then, and then Reggie Zippy, that's Reggie now. Reggie used to do. He also used to do raga. His favorite, or one of the songs I remember, is the one he talks about. Every man wants a virgin, but these men do not let these girls grow to have them finally husbands. Okay, but it was good. It was
great. It was a fantastic
concert.
Time.
Yes,
I had
it
a
was
great a great time, and you should see. They apparently took some photos of me, standing in worship and
I should see you in that moment, I should see you. But just as you and I are thinking and saying that it was great, we thought to find out from some patrons also what they made of the show.
Well, whatever I was expecting, by the grace of God, I enjoyed all the local artists, and then wonderfully I enjoyed Hezekiel, and I'm so happy to meet this wonderful man of God.
Fantastic, the best I've ever attended so far.
How many of the Adum Praise have you had?
This is my second time.
This is your second time?
Yes, please.
The show was fantastic. In fact, it was great. It was a great show.
If you ask me, it was entertaining. Simply to say, yeah. Obviously, we had an expectation coming in with all the fantastic home-based artists. I think that if you ask me, next year, if we like crowd, no foreign act, we would do our own event.
Yeah, Ade, what's up with you too? I am trying to find out how you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed it at all. Yeah, I did. The guy is marvelous, and I've been to most of the Adum Praise, but I really love this one. Tell me you didn't like it.
Oh, that was an amazing concert. I'm so uplifted. It's just an amazing, just praise God. It's an amazing.
Did you have the blessing you're looking for?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you going back the same?
I'm forever changed.
I don't know about you.
Me too, actually. I can hardly talk. I spent all my energy in there.
First time in Ghana.
First time in Ghana.
Did you enjoy it?
Not my last. I'll be back. It was wonderful.
It was indeed wonderful. And but there was one lady who was amongst the audience who was dancing in front, and she had so much energy.
Of course.
It was as if the Holy Spirit had just dropped on her.
That was supposed to be the essence of the show.
Holy Ghost fire burning this girl.
Joshua's baby. But the More Ibrahim concert also came off over the weekend, and we had Angelique Kidjo, Yusur Ndor also coming to Ghana, and then we had our own persons, BET award winners, Sarkodie and then Stone Boy also gracing the events. Let's bring you excerpts from that event.
Independence Square in Accra to life when they took turns to entertain thousands of Ghanaians to good music. The impressive list of acts who gave off memorable performances at the Mo Ibrahim concert in Accra include Grammy award-winning musician Angelique Kidjo, Grammy nominator Yusur Ndor, BET Award winners Sarkodie and Stoneboy. Ibrahim concert was part of the annual governance weekend by the Mo Ibrahim Foundation. It is held every year in mid-November in a different African country, and Ghana is the host this year.
Right, so it appears this weekend the past weekend was really packed because we have so much happening.
Too many things happened over the weekend.
It was really great.
And one other thing that happened over the weekend, of course, Joy News covered exclusively.
The weekend, the primaries of the NDC.
And we had some entertainers winning their bid to represent us in Parliament. Of course, they have to contest the opposition. And we had Abby Bright, who's an actress. We had Eric Donata, who is also a TV personality.
Oh, Abby Bright actually won.
Bright is an actress. She won, yes, she won. She won to represent Etema, East or West constituency. And then we had Eric Donata. And then we're going to have so much food in Parliament. Guess why?
Kwame Jokoto also won.
Oh, you're busy, you know. He won also his bid to represent. You know, so that's Abby Bright in your picture. That's Abby Bright.
Congratulations to Eric Donata.
That's Eric Donata as well, and surely we'll see Kwame Jokoto, I'm sure. Too much food will be flowing in Parliament. You know, people have already started cautioning him not to go do his stuff, you know.
Yeah, well, of course, I mean, you can't go to Parliament and go and do its band.
You know, but, you know, once you have a bit of it in you, it's always there. You won't even know when you're letting it out. But congratulations to these guys.
Yeah, congratulations to them. And all the best.
Yeah.
All the best. In the main fight that comes, a battle that comes up next year. Probably November or December. Next year. Yeah.
Okay, so Asamoah is 30 years.
That was the other thing that happened over the weekend.
True.
was really packed.
Very packed weekend.
All right, so Asamoah had a party, 30 years.
30 years.
And he actually donated $30,000 to the Black Queens.
Yes.
And that was a promise he had made earlier.
But it was a star-studded event. You know, we had the likes of Ifia, Becca, we saw Azuma Nelson, even politicians were there, you know. So, again, we bring you some excerpts from that.
Asamoah, the captain of the senior national team, Ghana Black Stars, last Saturday, November 21st, threw a lavish party to celebrate his 30th birthday.
Countdown, 5 birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
The player, popularly known as Baby Jet, celebrated the big day at a star-studded event in his $3 million Basilica the Baby Jet mansion in Accra. There were some exciting performances from Samini, Nasi, and Jan himself. Some of the known personalities who attended the party include Samini, Sarkodie, Jupiter, Ifia Kwesi P, Avram Grant, Kennedy Japan, Kwesi Apia, Emmanuel Adebayo, Lydia Forsen, and Yvonne Okoro.
Right, so apparently they gave you an invite and you refused to go. How could you turn down an offer like that?
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, anyway, we got someone to represent us. That's the most important of all, you know. But
did you actually snub someone?
I had too many things to do over the weekend.
Oh my word.
All right, so that's it for entertainment.
Right. Thank you very much, Ms. G. We've had fun.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, the weekend was a really packed one. Thank you very much for coming through with entertainment. That's it for entertainment. We have sports coming up next.
Entertainment news was...
Right, it's time for sports, and Gary R. Smith has just joined me. Good evening to you, Gary.
Hello.
Now, over the weekend, of the many things that happened,
of the 1,001 things that happened,
Mo Ibrahim was in town and he had a concert, but there was also a football match.
He had a football match as well.
At Accra Sports Stadium.
Yes.
And they turned out that in front of Mo Ibrahim, in front of our president, our floodlights failed. How's that possible?
Well, it's possible because the Accra Sports Stadium has become a notorious ground for failure when it comes to floodlights.
A notorious grounds for embarrassment.
Embarrassment, yes. Major internal embarrassment. This time it went external. We went international.
I mean, but didn't we know that the floodlights were not going to, I mean, wouldn't work?
Big question. The National Sports Authority have given a whole lot of excuses, but we all knew that it's been a problem.
I can imagine the president would be really embarrassed.
Yes, it was embarrassing. I mean, and Mo Ibrahim will say, I told you so.
Oh no. All right, take it away.
All right, so on the issue of governance, that is gone. But today, there was a bit of a deal signed between Dreams FC, who have just been promoted into the Ghana Premier League for the new season, and EMWL, a microfinance company. Now, the boss of Dreams FC, Kero Kreku, believes that the partnership with the microfinance company, who are their new sponsors, will bring hope for kids from the roots, from the grassroots of Ghanaian football.
That when two companies of the same mindset find themselves meeting, then there's always a fit, and of course then there's grounds to have a relationship. And I think this is exactly what we found in MWOL. It's a company that is growing. It's an emerging brand, a company that offers hope and aspirations to people, a company that offers business opportunities to people in this country. And same as Dreams FC, we offer hope to kids from the woods of Ghana who would not normally have the opportunity to earn a good, decent living and to be, so to say, to be a star, so to say. So I think the two companies have a good fit, and for which reason we have a very good partnership now.
Going abroad, and in the Barclays Premier League, Claudio Ranieri says he's happy with the striker Jamie Vardy's scoring form, and Jamie Vardy himself is also happy. Says he's keen to improve upon his sensational streak. He's equaled Van Nistelrooy's record of scoring in 10 consecutive games in the Barclays Premier League. And guess what? This weekend against Manchester United, he will have the opportunity to go one step further. In Israel off air that guy called cardiac arrest must be whipped, must be beaten.
That is if you can find him.
If we can find him. He's taking too many of our heroes away.
Oh, yep,
and that's it for the sport.
Thank you very much. But you're looking really sharp.
Says the man.
When you decide to step it up, you take it all the way. But thank you very much, Gary R. Smith with sports. We have Joy News Interactive coming up right after. Please stay tuned.